If you are pregnant or you've recently had a baby, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Kath Bequee, a physiotherapist working in women's health and mum of three. Inside my online program, Fitness Mama, I just love helping support women to care for their bodies during pregnancy, prepare their bodies for birth, and support their after-birth recovery, helping them feel confident and strong inside out during this important stage of their lives. In this podcast, join me each week as we dive into all things pregnancy care, childbirth, and postnatal recovery, helping you through every step of the journey. It is absolutely possible to feel amazing and confident in our bodies during this motherhood journey, and I want that for you. Come and say hi to me on Instagram at @fitnessmama, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pregnancy, Birth and Recovery podcast. So today's episode is more of a personal one. I am sharing my story. I'm, spilling the beans on my pelvic floor recovery after 3 children. And I am a bit of a private person. I can't say I've told many people this. And if you had told me a few years ago I was going to be doing this podcast episode, I wouldn't have believed you. But something's happened recently in the last month, and I thought it was important to share my story because I know what we sometimes see in social media, it's one thing, and then what happens in reality can sometimes be totally different. And I want to be transparent and open. And yes, I am a pelvic floor physio. Yes, I've got an online program for pregnancy and postpartum. But the reality is I have had 3 babies myself, and even though my oldest is 11, my youngest is 6, my body, it has changed as a result of pregnancy and postpartum. And, I'm proud of my body. It's been through a lot. But my pelvic floor recovery is something that, and this is for everyone too, it's not something we focus on in those first few months after we've given birth and then think we've ticked that box and we don't need to come back to it. It's like everything in life. We always need to potentially give it a bit of love, just like our body. We can't go to the gym for a couple of weeks and hope to have achieved all our fitness goals. It's something that is ongoing in life. So rather than jumping straight to it, I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory. So this episode today is, if you want a bit of a sticky beak and you want to hear the challenges I've had with my pelvic floor and recovery, stick around. This episode is for you if you're perhaps pregnant and postnatal and you're wanting to learn a bit of a real life story about, the realities of vaginal birth and recovery and wanting to return to running, stick around. Or if you are just keen to hear about my rehab process, my take on it all, my fitness journey, my pelvic floor recovery post-birth, then stick around. As always, before we do dive in, I would love to invite you to come and join me inside Fitness Mama. If you would like to focus on your post-birth recovery, on your fitness, on your pelvic floor recovery, then Fitness Mama would be perfect for you. If reclaiming your pelvic floor, core and strength is important to you, and if you want to do it safely, then join us inside Fitness for a free 7-day trial. You can work out easily from the comfort of your home. These are quality workouts created by physio that really do help to restore your pelvic floor and core strength. And if this sounds like something you're keen, join us for a 7-day free trial at fitnessmama.com, and the link is in the show notes. So the reason I'm sharing this today is because what's happened to me in the last few weeks, it's just helped me to reflect on everything. And I've realised, and I've always known this, but you know how sometimes you get a bit of a reminder, but childbirth isn't just about childbirth. It can be about the rest of our lives. Postpartum isn't just about the first 6 weeks after birth. It can be something we need to revisit for the next decade. And So what I'm sharing with you today is as a result of having had 3 babies. And as I said, my oldest is 11, my youngest is 6, not 3, 6. And I don't begrudge anything. I am proud of what my body has done this last decade. I am proud of what I've produced, but I'm also not going to be putting up with the symptoms I've been experiencing, which I'll share about. I'm not going to put up with my lack of confidence in terms of going for a run. So I'm going to do something about it, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. And this has all come about because 4 weeks ago I had a cold, and I guess it was a bit more of a cold than I thought. It developed into a cough. It wasn't COVID, and I started coughing. And I actually had a really bad cough that lasted 3 weeks. Just a little over 2 weeks ago, I had had enough and I went to the doctor, and it turns out I had bronchitis. And I finally went on medication, but it still took a week to settle down. So a cough is one of the biggest risk factors for pelvic floor issues. And that on top of my 3 vaginal births, albeit it was 6 years ago, it was enough to exacerbate symptoms. I really haven't had any leaking, incontinence, prolapse symptoms since I was pregnant with my 3rd baby. In that last trimester, my pelvic floor with my 3rd baby, my pelvic floor had enough, and I did have some mild leaking then in my 3rd trimester, but really hadn't experienced anything since that I can really recall. Whereas with this cough that happened, 1 week into having a bad cough, and I'm talking about just coughing, incessantly coughing all the time, that was when I started, first of all, have, a little leak here and there. And then it would develop. And when I was walking, in particularly, if I was walking and coughing, it turned into a big leak, like a bigger leak. And it's not fun. It is not fun at all. For anyone who's had leaking, I totally get what you're going through. It made me think about what clothes I was wearing, what underwear I was wearing. It made me almost sort of not panic, but when I was out and about in public and coughing, I would suddenly think, oh my God, what's going to happen? I remember this is towards the tail end, so I wasn't contagious or anything, but going for a walk with a friend, this person I didn't know that well, and when I was walking and then coughing. Anyway, you get the gist. It wasn't a fun few weeks. And I'm just having a bit of a chuckle at myself. I can't believe I'm sharing this story with you. But I also think it's important. Anyway, let's move on. So a bit of a backstory. Before this cough happened, I'd already declared to my husband, declared to myself that I was going to get back into running over summer. So in summer, we're just approaching it. Actually, we're already in summer. We're in Australia. At the time of recording, it's early December. And we, as a family, go to the beach for a few weeks. As part of my more normal exercise routine, I record workouts for Fitness Mama, and I also do some reformer Pilates, external, and I take my dog for a walk. And I love doing all those 3. All those 3, I think, really complement each other, and I haven't really had the drive to go for a run. I used to run pre-pregnancy and in between a few of the babies, but just in the last few years, I'm loving my exercise routine. I try to do something every single day, whether or not it's a walk or one of my classes or a reformer class. But over summer, there's not going to be a gym, there's no reformer classes, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get back into running, and I'm going to do my return to running program that's inside Fitness Mama. I thought it's time to, update that, and I was just really excited. And then I got this cough, and then I was leaking, and then I thought, oh my God, what timing? It's never a good timing, but I thought, right, I need to give this a little focus. I need to give my pelvic floor a bit of love and I guess a bit of a booster before I get back into running. So I'm partly sharing this to share my story about how it's not always a smooth ride. It's not always a linear path. Sometimes we have these setbacks. So for me, it was a bronchitis. And sometimes we need to take stock of the situation and refocus and get back into it. And I thought it would be nice for you to have that sort of idea of how am I going to approach this. So I've now fully recovered from the bronchitis. I am no longer leaking, thank God, but I also haven't been putting my pelvic floor under that stress. And I know I don't want to get back into running until I've rehabbed my pelvic floor a bit, because it took a hammering in those 3 weeks of coughing, and I know it will be weaker.
Multi-award-winning baby nappy bag brand Storksack is owned by 2 Aussie mums. A place for everything and everything in its place is Storksack's motto when designing stylish but functional nappy bags. Designed for practicality and quality in mind, all their nappy bags not only look good, but they come with plenty of pockets, insulated compartments, they attach to your pram, and they're hard-wearing. Storksack aims to create bags that you will love enough to use as your regular bag, with all the intelligent features to make your job easier as parents. Storksack are kindly offering listeners to this podcast 15% off. Simply use the code FITNEST15. That's FITNEST 15. Head to storksack.com.au to check out their amazing range. And once more, the code for 15% discount is FITNEST15, and the link is in the show notes.
Now, quick side note. I would recommend anyone in my position to have a pelvic floor assessment. I have had pelvic floor assessments in my past, admittedly not since the birth of my 3rd baby. I did for my 2nd. So you speak to any pelvic floor physio out there and they will have a pretty good gauge on what their pelvic floor strength is like. You can self-assess. I don't encourage that unless you've got a really good understanding of what's happening. So I know from myself that I have got a good activation in my pelvic floor, but it is on the weaker side, especially compared to pre-pregnancy. So I am really confident moving forwards with my next steps that I need to take in order to rehab and boost my pelvic floor strength and get back into running. But if I was recommending this to any of you, I'd say, get that confidence and go and see a pelvic floor physio, have a vaginal examination, especially if you've got any leaking, and then you can be confident in your next steps. I know that I'm on the weak side. I know that I need to give a booster. What am I going to do? Am I going to get back into running straight away? No. First, I am going to give myself 30 days of pelvic floor exercises. I'm going to give myself a booster, a 30-day pelvic floor challenge, which I do have inside Fitness Mama. Actually, I did mention it on Instagram, and a lot of you said you wanted to join that 30-day pelvic floor challenge, and I am going to give you all free access if you would like. Come and join up. I'm saying this now as I'm recording the podcast. By the time the podcast is published, check the show notes, and there should be a link for a 30-day free pelvic floor challenge. You're welcome to come and join me for it. If there is no link in the show notes, send me a DM on Instagram at FitnestMama, FITNESTMAMA, and just let me know you'd love to do the free 30-day pelvic floor challenge. So I'm going to do that 30-day pelvic floor challenge to really give that a booster. Then in addition, I'm doing a 12-week return to running program. So I want to do a good 2 solid weeks of just pelvic floor. And for me, that's going to suit perfectly while the kids are still at school. And then I'm going to start the return to running challenge. And that will suit really well with when we've relocated to the beach for a few weeks. So my 12-week return to running program, I think I just mixed up my words. First, I'm going to do pelvic floor challenge, and then I'm going to do the return to running challenge. The return to running program. So the return to running program, it doesn't just get you straight back into running. Every week there's a different timetable which incorporates some running, and it incorporates bursts of running, and it gradually builds up upon each other. And in addition, it incorporates 2 workouts. It's more of a Pilates and core strength workout is one of the workouts. And then the second workout is actually more of it's a running workout. So it's those important muscle groups for running, the single leg balance, the single leg strength, working into those glutes, that balance work, the power. So the 12 weeks of workouts included in the 12-week return to running program, they're progressive. They start with the foundations, and then by the time you get to the 12 weeks, you're doing like the jumping and those higher level strength foundations core exercises. So same with the running. It's not just a matter of getting back into a 5K run. It's really progressive alongside those running classes, and it's had great success. This is available inside Fitness Mama. The mums that have been doing it, that actually complete the 12-week return to running program, they're the ones that are successful in getting back into running. And I do just have to say, if running's not for you, but you want to get back into the gym or CrossFit or something a bit higher impact, this could be perfect too, because you could substitute the running program with a walking program, but then still do the twice weekly workouts. So that is my plan, ladies. I know that I need to give my pelvic floor a booster. I do want to get back into running, but I'm not going to get straight back into running. I'm going to give my pelvic floor and body a bit of TLC, a bit of a booster, and I'm going to do it over a 3-month period. I am telling you to share my journey because I think it's great to sometimes see behind the scenes, and hopefully it's a bit motivational for you or inspiration or whatever it is. But also, a bit selfishly, I'm sharing it with you because this is also going to make me accountable. And if you've heard me for a while, and if you're inside Fitness Mama, we all need some of that accountability, whether or not it's sharing your goals and dreams or plans with your friend, with your partner, with for example, the mums inside my Facebook group often say, hey, I'm starting the 12-week return to running program. I'm really excited. Or they come and send me an Instagram message on a DM on Instagram and say, hey, I'm getting started. And then I can check in with them and say, hey, in 4 weeks' time, how are you going with that? I think we all need that some level of accountability. Some people need more accountability. Some people need less accountability. But I really do think that can help with motivation, kickstarting your actions and your plans. And look, we are coming up to a new year. In the new year, I wasn't going to share this with you, but I just thought I should. In the new year, prices are going up. So if you do want to come and join us inside Fitness Mama with the current prices, just head to fitnessmama.com and check it all out. The 12-week return to running program is included in there, along with all the app of the beautiful different range of workouts to help you with your postpartum strength. But there you go, ladies. So the takeaway, if you've gotten this far, the takeaway of me sharing this story is it's okay to have some of these setbacks. It's okay for plans and for things to not always go according to plan, but it's also possible to think about what stepping stones are required for you in order to achieve your goals and achieve what you want to be able to achieve. And for me, yes, I really do want to get back into running. If for nothing else, just for my own confidence, just for that. I haven't felt like this for ages, but it's time. I'm not going to be a massive marathon runner. 5 kilometers, quick 20, 30 minutes. Amazing. I just love that option, but I'm going to do it sensibly, and I'm going to keep you updated along the way. So if I run into any hurdles along the way, I don't think I'm going to have any leaking. I hope I'm not, but if I do, I may do another one of these podcast episodes in 6 to 12 weeks as a bit of an update to let you all know how that plan is going, let you know of any hurdles that have come up along the way, because life happens. And that's okay. Let's just keep working. Every day is a new day, and let's just keep working with those goals in mind. So that's it, ladies. I hope that was a little bit helpful, just in thinking about your plans, your goals. It doesn't matter if you're 6 weeks postpartum, 6 years postpartum, 16 years postpartum. I know my pelvic floor is probably going to be something I I do need to focus on right through to when I hit menopause and beyond, because it doesn't just stop and suddenly get better. Just like your fitness journey in general doesn't just stop and, like, you've always got to work on it, right? It's something that we hope will become part of our lifestyle, something that's easy for us. And usually what I do with the exercise-wise, I think is plenty for me. So in terms of my reformer classes, in terms of my fitness classes, that is perfect for me. But because I'm now wanting to jump to the next stage, I need to give myself a bit of a booster and I guess solidify things, work on those foundations to level up to the next level. So I'm leveling up, ladies. New year, 2024. Let me know if you want to join me. Join me for either a pelvic floor challenge, join me for the return to running program, join me for both. Come and level up with me if you would like. Otherwise, have a fabulous day, and I look forward to you joining me very soon for another episode of the Pregnancy, Birth and Recovery podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Mama podcast, brought to you by the Fitness Mama freebies found at www.fitnessmama.com/free. So please take a few seconds to leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and be sure to take a screenshot of this podcast, upload it to your social media, and tag me at Fitness Mama so I can give you a shout out too. Until next time, remember, an active pregnancy, confident childbirth, and strong postnatal recovery is something that you deserve. Remember our disclaimer, materials and contents in this podcast are intended as general information only and shouldn't substitute any medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. I'll see you soon.